Let me tell you something most men never realize. Women rarely come out and say, "I like you." They won't spell it out. Instead, they show it through small, subtle signals that are easy to miss if you're not paying attention. And this is where most guys lose without even knowing it. You keep assuming she's just being nice, just friendly, or that's just how she is. While in reality, she might be dropping hints left and right, waiting to see if you'll notice. The signs are always there, in her actions, her patterns, and the little ways she behaves when you're around. It's in how she positions herself closer, how her eyes stay on you longer than normal, how she remembers tiny details you barely recall saying. These moments aren't random, they're signals. But here's the catch. If you're not aware of them, you'll walk right past them and miss your chance without even realizing it. This isn't about playing guessing games or using pickup tricks. It's about learning how to read the reality in front of you. Once you understand how to spot these patterns, everything changes. You stop second-guessing every interaction. You stop confusing friendliness for attraction. You finally start to see things for what they really are. And when you unlock this, you'll never look at your conversations with women the same way again. 1. She finds reasons to be around you. If a woman likes you, she'll make sure she's in your world, even if she doesn't come out and say it. It won't always be obvious, and she won't announce it, but her actions will quietly reveal everything. Pay attention to where she shows up, when she shows up, and how often she somehow finds herself close to you. Maybe she suddenly starts hanging out in places she never cared about before, but you just happen to be there. Maybe she bumps into you more often than should be possible. Maybe she finds excuses to talk to you about work, about friends, about the most random things that don't actually need your input. On the surface, it'll look casual, harmless, even coincidental. But it's not. Here's the thing most guys never understand. Interest creates effort. When someone doesn't care, they don't try. They keep it short, polite, and move on. But when she's drawn to you, suddenly she starts creating reasons to exist in the same space as you. She'll sit closer, even when there are plenty of empty seats. She'll take the long route, just to walk past you. She'll join group conversations you're in, even if she wasn't part of them to begin with. Sometimes it's subtle. She might ask you for help with something ridiculously small, a favor she could easily handle herself. And no, it's not because she can't do it. It's because help equals time. And time near you is exactly what she's after. If she wasn't into you, she wouldn't waste the effort. She wouldn't spend energy where there's no pull. Here's the mindset shift you need. Women don't consistently put themselves near men they're not attracted to. Friendship can explain it once or twice. But when it becomes a pattern, when she keeps showing up in your orbit again and again, it's not random, it's intentional. And here's how you know it's real. Her presence feels different. Watch how she interacts. Does she lean in when you talk? Does she laugh a little louder at your jokes? Does she happen to be close enough for accidental touches? Those aren't accidents. They're open doors. Most men miss these cues because they assume she's just being friendly. But friendliness is passive. Interest is active. Friendliness doesn't seek opportunities to linger. Attraction does. When she chooses to place herself near you, even when she doesn't have to, that's her signaling one thing without saying a word. You stand out. So here's what you do. Stop dismissing her patterns as coincidence. Notice her effort. Pay attention to how often she appears in your space and how deliberately she stays there. If she's repeatedly making excuses to be around you, you're not imagining it. That's attraction. And the sooner you see it, the sooner you'll stop letting these moments slip right past you. 2. She remembers the small things. If a woman likes you, her attention to detail becomes almost impossible to miss, if you know what to look for. One of the clearest signs is when she remembers the little things you've said, even the ones you don't remember yourself. And I'm not talking about the obvious stuff like your name, your job, or your favorite color after you've mentioned it 3 times. I'm talking about the tiny random details you've casually dropped into conversation without thinking twice. Maybe you once mentioned that you love a specific snack you haven't had since childhood. Days later, she brings it up like it's nothing. By the way, I saw that snack at the store and thought of you. Or maybe you mentioned you had an important meeting coming up at work, and a few days later she asks, "How did your meeting go?" Those moments aren't random. That's her showing you, without saying it, that she's paying attention. Here's the thing. When someone isn't interested, their brain doesn't hold on to these little details. You could say the same thing twice, and it would slide right past them. But when someone likes you, your words stick. It's not even conscious most of the time. Their mind just naturally locks onto information about you because you matter more than the rest. And here's what makes it even more powerful. It's not just that she remembers. It's how she uses what she remembers. She might surprise you by anticipating your needs without you asking. Maybe she brings you your favorite drink out of nowhere. Maybe she sends you a meme that connects perfectly to something you said last week. Maybe she remembers the name of your friend you mentioned once, months ago. These are her ways of showing she cares. Subtly, quietly, intentionally. Most guys mistake this for basic friendliness, but here's the truth. Emotional energy is valuable, and people don't spend it on someone they don't care about. If she consistently recalls random little things you've said, she's investing in you mentally and emotionally. That's not politeness. That's attraction. Here's where it gets interesting. Remembering the small stuff is often her way of testing the waters. She's showing you that she's listening, that she notices you, that you matter, but she's doing it in a low-key way to see how you respond. If you ignore it, she takes it as a sign to pull back. If you acknowledge it, you confirm that you've noticed her effort, and that's when the connection deepens. Pay attention to these small moments because they say more than words ever could. If she keeps bringing up details you barely recall sharing, she's not doing it for fun. She's doing it because you've left an impression, one strong enough to take up space in her mind without her even trying. And here's the key: patterns matter. One remembered fact might be coincidence, but if she consistently recalls things no one else would think to hold on to, that's not random. That's someone whose mind gravitates toward you, even when you're not around. And when someone's thoughts are with you, their feelings usually are too. 3. She finds reasons to touch you. Physical touch is one of the most powerful, unspoken signals of attraction, and if you learn to recognize it, you'll start seeing exactly where you stand without her ever saying a word. Here's the thing. Subtle, accidental touches are rarely accidents. When a woman likes you, she'll look for small, harmless excuses to close the gap between you and her. It's never obvious or aggressive. It's quiet, calculated, and often disguised as casual. But make no mistake, these little gestures carry more meaning than most men realize. Think about it. Maybe she brushes against your arm while walking past you, and it feels so natural you almost don't notice. Maybe she playfully taps your shoulder when she jokes with you, or gently adjusts something on your shirt, as if she's just being helpful. Maybe she gives you a light nudge when you tease her, or compares her hand size to yours, sliding her palm into yours for just a second. None of this is random. None of this is meaningless. These are micro moments where she's testing comfort and creating closeness without making it obvious. Here's the truth. When there's no attraction, there's distance. If someone doesn't like you, they won't create reasons to be inside your personal space. They'll keep interactions polite, professional, and neutral. But when someone's drawn to you, they instinctively lower the physical barrier. They want proximity. They want to feel your presence, even if it's just for a moment. Touch becomes the bridge between casual conversation and something deeper. And it's not just the touch itself. It's when and how it happens. Pay attention to the timing. Does she tend to touch you during moments of laughter, when emotions are high and walls are down? That's intentional. She's using a naturally heightened moment to slip past boundaries without making you uncomfortable. Does she make physical contact when she wants your attention or needs you to focus on her? That's not casual either. That's her inviting you into her space and letting you know you're welcome in hers. Here's another layer most men miss. Compare her behavior with you to how she interacts with others. If she touches you more often, leans into you more than she does with anyone else, or creates more moments of physical closeness, that's a clear sign she feels something different around you. People are naturally protective of their personal space, and they don't voluntarily give up that bubble unless they feel safe, comfortable, or drawn in. Sometimes, the excuse to touch goes even further. She might ask you to hold something for her, compare heights, feel the fabric of what she's wearing, or show you something on her phone while standing unusually close. These moments look innocent on the surface, but underneath, they're deliberate opportunities to break physical distance. Here's the key. Attraction doesn't always show up in grand gestures. It hides in the small, consistent patterns. If she finds ways, again and again, to connect with you physically, whether it's brushing your arm, fixing your collar, or leaning close when she speaks, she's sending you signals her words might never reveal. Don't ignore these touches. Don't write them off as meaningless. Because when a woman finds reasons to be physically close to you, she's showing you, without saying it, that she's comfortable, that she's curious, and that she wants a connection deeper than words. 4. She gets nervous around you. One of the strongest, most overlooked signs that someone likes you is nervous energy. Most men expect attraction to look smooth, confident, and effortless. But the truth is, sometimes it's the opposite. When a woman has feelings for you, she doesn't always act composed or collected. In fact, the more she likes you, the harder it becomes for her to control her body's natural responses. Suddenly, little things start to give her away, and if you pay attention, you'll notice them all. Watch her closely when you're around. Does she fidget with her jewelry, her phone, her nails, or the edge of her clothes? Does she touch her hair more than usual, twirling it around her fingers or tucking it behind her ear again and again, almost like she needs something to keep her hands busy? That's her nervous energy showing up. It's not random. Her body is channeling the tension she feels inside because your presence matters more than she wants to admit. Notice her voice too. It might suddenly change when she talks to you. Sometimes it gets softer, almost shy, without her realizing it. Other times it gets slightly higher pitched because her adrenaline spikes when you're around. That's biology at work. Her heart rate increases, her breathing shifts, and her body reacts because she cares more about how she comes across to you than she does with anyone else. Pay attention to her movements when you interact. Does she stumble over her words, even though she's normally confident? Does she laugh at herself nervously when she messes up a sentence? Does she drop little things, like her pen, her phone, or anything she's holding, as if her coordination suddenly disappears when you're near? That's not clumsiness. That's attraction, creating tension. Another powerful clue is what happens when you surprise her. If you approach her unexpectedly, does she blush? Do her cheeks turn slightly pink? Or does she break into an awkward smile she can't control? That's her body betraying her feelings before her mind can mask them. Blushing is one of the hardest reactions to fake, and it usually kicks in when someone feels seen by someone they care about. The key here is contrast. If she's completely relaxed and natural around everyone else, laughing, joking, and carrying herself effortlessly, but around you, she suddenly shifts, becomes a little quieter, a little jumpier, a little more careful with her words. That's not coincidence. That's because your opinion matters more than you think. Don't confuse nervousness with disinterest. A lot of men get this wrong. They assume if a woman seems awkward, quiet, or hesitant, she's not into them. But often, it's the exact opposite. When feelings are involved, there's more at stake emotionally. She doesn't want to say the wrong thing, she doesn't want to embarrass herself, and she definitely doesn't want to give away too much too soon. That pressure creates tension, and tension shows up as nervous habits. And here's the most important part. Nervousness is a silent compliment. It means you matter. You occupy more of her thoughts than she wants you to know. You make her heart race a little faster. You change her behavior without even trying. That kind of response doesn't happen around people we feel nothing for. It only happens when someone has an emotional investment in how they're perceived. So, if you notice her playing with her hair more, fidgeting when she talks to you, stumbling over words, blushing, or laughing nervously around you, don't dismiss it. That's not random. That's not coincidence. That's attraction, written all over her body language. The tension you feel isn't imagined. It's real, and it's one of the clearest signs she likes you. 5. She engages with you more than others. One of the most powerful and consistent signs of attraction is how much energy someone invests in you compared to everyone else. Pay close attention, because this isn't about one isolated moment. It's about patterns of engagement. When a woman likes you, the way she interacts with you will naturally stand out. She'll laugh harder at your jokes, keep conversations flowing when they'd normally fade, and find excuses to stay connected, both in person and online. Start with her reactions when you talk. Maybe you tell a joke that isn't even that funny, but she laughs harder than anyone else. That's not about the joke. That's about you. Laughter becomes a way to bond, a subtle invitation to keep going, to stay present in the moment. She wants you to feel good around her because deep down, she wants to create a positive association between your presence and her energy. Then look at how she handles conversations. If she likes you, she won't give you short, polite replies. She'll add depth. She'll ask follow-up questions instead of letting things die out. When you share something small, she digs deeper. Not because she has to, but because she genuinely wants to know more about you. Maybe you mention a hobby, and suddenly she's curious about how you got into it, what you enjoy about it, and what you've learned from it. That's not small talk. That's interest disguised as curiosity. It doesn't stop there. Notice how she shares more about herself when she's around you. When someone isn't invested, they keep conversations shallow. But when attraction is involved, she opens up. She tells you personal stories, her opinions, even random thoughts she wouldn't share with just anyone. That's her inviting you into her world, piece by piece, testing the waters to see how you respond. Now pay attention to how she engages with you digitally. In today's world, interest doesn't just show up in person, it shows up online. If she's consistently the first one to view your Instagram stories, if she reacts to your posts more than others, if she tags you in memes or sends you things that remind her of you, that's deliberate. Nobody consistently invests time and attention into someone online unless they care. If she's using social media to stay connected, it's because she's thinking about you when you're not around. Another subtle but revealing clue. She keeps the connection alive, even when she doesn't need to. Maybe she texts you out of nowhere, just to share something random. Maybe she comments on something you said days ago, as if it's been on her mind. Maybe she replies faster to your messages than anyone else's. Or double texts when the conversation slows down, just to keep it going. That's effort. And effort is energy, and energy always follows interest. Here's where most guys miss it. They think these small interactions are just friendly. But friendliness doesn't require consistency. Attracted energy is persistent. When someone genuinely likes you, they make room for you in their world. They engage, they follow up, they check in. They give more of themselves than they give to others. Compare how she talks to you versus how she talks to everyone else. If her effort with you stands out, that's not coincidence. That's intentional prioritization. And remember, this isn't about one text, one laugh, or one meme. This is about the pattern. Attraction always reveals itself through repetition. If she repeatedly gives you more energy than she gives anyone else, if she repeatedly initiates conversations, if she repeatedly invests in keeping you connected, she's showing you where you stand without ever saying it out loud. When you start noticing these differences, you'll see the truth behind her actions. She's not just being nice. She's not just engaging because she's bored. She's choosing you again and again in small, consistent ways. And once you see it for what it is, you'll realize that effort speaks louder than words ever could. 6. She shows, she cares. When a woman truly likes you, her feelings don't just show up in her smile, her eyes, or her touch. They show up in the way she cares about you when she doesn't have to. Attraction isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, consistent, and hidden inside the smallest gestures that most men overlook. These little moments are easy to dismiss if you're not paying attention, but when you connect the dots, they speak louder than anything she could ever say. Think about it. Does she check in on you without being asked? Maybe she texts to ask if you got home safe after a late night out. Maybe she remembers that you had a stressful day ahead and follows up later just to see how you're doing. Maybe she notices when you're quieter than usual and asks if something's wrong. Those aren't random acts of kindness. Those are deliberate investments of her emotional energy. Here's the thing, most guys don't realize. Care requires effort, and people don't consistently put in effort for someone they don't value. When there's no attraction, conversation stays surface level. There's no checking up, no following through, no remembering small details. But when someone genuinely likes you, suddenly your comfort, your happiness, and even your well-being matter to them. They'll go out of their way to make sure you're okay, even in situations where they gain nothing in return. And it doesn't always come in the form of words. Sometimes it shows up in actions. Small, thoughtful gestures that reveal she's paying attention. Maybe she brings you a snack she knows you like because you mentioned it once weeks ago. Maybe she reminds you of something important coming up because she knows you'd forget. Maybe she offers to help you with something stressful, even if it's inconvenient for her. These aren't grand romantic gestures, but they're powerful because they come from a place of genuine interest. You can always tell how someone feels about you by where they place their energy. Women don't consistently check in on men they don't care about. They don't worry about whether you've eaten, whether you got home safe, or whether you're okay after a long day. When someone chooses to notice the little things, to look out for you in ways others don't, that's attraction wrapped in subtlety. Here's the key: care is not casual. Consistent care is deliberate. If she shows up for you again and again in quiet, thoughtful ways, that's her feelings revealing themselves without words. It's her way of saying, "You matter to me," without ever needing to speak it out loud. So don't brush these signals off as nothing. If she remembers your needs, checks on your well-being, and finds small ways to make your life easier, that's not friendliness. That's her heart showing before her mouth ever does. Here's the bottom line: women rarely announce their feelings. They show them. One sign alone might mean nothing, but when you notice a pattern, that's when you know. If she's finding reasons to be around you, remembering your words, touching you, looking at you differently, showing care, and engaging more than she has to, it's not friendliness. It's attraction. Learn to read these signals, and you'll stop second-guessing yourself, stop missing opportunities, and finally understand when a woman is into you. If you found this valuable, support the channel so we can keep bringing you insights that change how you see women forever. And comment, "I see the signs now," below if you caught them.